Welcome to this Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. In this video, we're going to be breaking down one of the new regiments of renown for the Death Factions. So, in the most recent book brought out in the Dawnbringers series of books, where we've had armies of renown and regiments of renown, we're going to be looking at one of the regiments of renown today, which is an army that you can only include in not its home book. We're going to be looking at Neferata's Royal Echelon. That means, even though she's from Soulblight Gravelords and the units are from Soulblight Gravelords, you can't use them in a Soulblight Gravelords army. I know you're asking yourself, what the hell? Well, it's to kind of indicate a part of the story that's going on in the Dawnbringers where Neferata has infiltrated the Summer King's court, which is Echelon, and then is trying to siphon off their ghoulish, infected, crazy blood to use it to infect the rest of the humans, or the good dudes in the mortal realms. Good dudes is obviously in quotation marks here, and then steal that blood and then drive them all crazy. So it's meant to be like a snapshot of the army at a certain time. And that's what we're looking at today. So let's go and have a look at what it is. Neferata's Royal Echelon is 600 points if you'd like to play it in match play. And it consists of Neferata, 5 Black Knights, and 2 units of 10 Death Rattle Skeletons. So let's talk about, and don't forget, you're not going to be able to include them in Soulblight Gravelords, so you're going to probably put them in OCR Bone Reapers or Nighthaunt or Flesh Eater Courts. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. What do you get for this? So you get a 6-up ward save for for all of the units, which is Deathless Retainers. But unfortunately, this isn't the same as Deathless Minions. So when we look at, for instance, the Black Knights in a moment, they're going to lose an ability because it's not the same. But you get these 2 big abilities. First one is the Blood Queen's Will. Once per battle, at the end of your battle shot phase, if Neferata in the Regiment of Renown is on the battlefield, you can place the battle tactic you picked at the start of your hero phase with a different eligible battle tactic. And if you do so, you must pick a battle tactic that's not already being completed. Pretty crazy. So you're going to be able to effectively fail a tactic, but then pick a tactic that you have succeeded in this. Now, what's quite fun about this is because this isn't going to be inside Soulblight Gravelords, this is going to be particularly effective, in my opinion, inside something like Nighthaunt, who struggle to do battle tactics anyway. In addition, Nighthaunt have desperately needed a monster in their army for a long time, so that the monster in the army can do things like Roar, which is going to be pretty effective, because then that means, which is a monstrous action, so then you're not going to be able to do command abilities, which is going to be really helpful in the right situations, or even smashing like terrain to rubble. All of those things are very effective. So now it's a way of getting in a monster into the army, which is quite nice, and help you better achieve battle tactics, which is also nice as well. There's also the Blood Queen's Blade ability. At the start of your hero phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of Neferata in this Regiment of Renown. Until your next hero phase, ward rolls cannot be made for that enemy unit against wounds and mortal wounds caused by attacks made by units in this Regiment of Renown. Now, thanks to the new FAQ that just came out the other day, this means also units aren't going to be able to take bodyguard saves effectively because they count as ward saves, which is very, very interesting. But it's only going to be units in this Regiment of Renown, so it's not going to stack with all the attacks that you can bring along from other units. So that's a little like from the other units in the army. So let's say if you were to put this inside of a Nighthaunt army, it's great that you're going to be able to shut down for ward save, but it's only going to affect these units. And that's a bit of a shame, to be honest. I think I can really see this being played inside Nighthaunt. I think the thing we should do now is we should go and look at what these units do themselves, and if you feel like that's going to add into an army and what it does. So first off, we'll start with Neferata. I'm using Wikipedia for this. She's got 14 wounds with a 3-up save. Also, for those 3 units that you can take in this Regiment of Renown, normally they should cost 760 points, but you're going to get them for the bargain price of only 600 points. So you get a bit of a bonus here. Okay, so she's got a pretty interesting attack profile. The most important thing about her attack profile, in my opinion, is that she's got the Dagger of Jet. This ability is at the end of the enemy phase, if any wounds were caused by this unit's Akhmet Ha were allocated to an enemy hero, then on a 5+, that enemy is slain. That enemy hero is slain. So you have an auto-slay 5-up ability on her, which is really good. I absolutely love the Dagger of Jet. It's super fun. The Obsidian Blade. But her survivability is high, 14 wounds, 3 up armor save. Don't forget, because she's a character, you're going to be able to do Finest Hour, do Mystic Shield, all those other things. In addition to that, she's also a level 2 wizard and can cast 2 spells and unbind 2 spells, which is great as well, because you've got access to the best spell in the game, Mystic Shield, which is good. Not particularly effective in Nighthaunt, of course, but would be good on her, taking her to a 2-up save, which would make her very effective. To add to her survivability, you've got subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target friendly Legion of Blood units, wholly within 12 inches of this unit. That doesn't affect anyone but her, because she's not in the sub-faction Legion of Blood, but she does have that keyword, so she is going to be able to, if you want, make it. She is going to be -1 to be hit from melee weapons, so that makes her even more survivable. You can literally use her as a tank. And then if you're not happy with doing a Mystic Shield and doing all-out defense for her survivability, instead you could use the Dark Mist spell, which is used a lot in Soulblight Gravelords lists, which you can pick a Legion of Blood unit, and she's the only one that's going to be in the regiment, and then you can make them ethereal, so they're going to ignore rends. So you're going to ignore rend on a 3-up armor save, 6-up ward save, -1 to hit kind of wizard soldier. That's pretty good. And then you're like, oh, Rob, wait, what if I want to do some healing? She's got the hunger at the end of combat, and the allocation for when this happens is quite interesting because it happens immediately. So you heal 6. This is super, super strong. You can do an amazing heal. So now you've got a 3-up ethereal, 6-up ward save, healing 6, -1 to be hit every turn. This goes so hard, as Dabbod is saying in the chat. It's so hard. So hard. And then you can occasionally auto-slay a unit, okay? Which I think is really good. Then she's also got the Mortarch of Blood ability to potentially pick up 3 friendly Legion of Blood units, which include herself. So Neferata at 410 points, I think as a solo piece, she obviously works really well synergistically in the sub-faction Legion of Blood. But on her own, if I can get her in to my army, I'm going to take it, I reckon. So pretty good. Well done to Neffy. You also get 2 units of Death Rattle Skeletons. And Death Rattle Skeletons aren't like stunning. They're just a battle line unit that you're going to take. And then they're obviously at attacks, because then you still got to take battle line in whichever other army you're playing. They're not going to count towards your battle line, so that's a problem. They're a unit of 10. They're 5 wounds, and they got a wound each. They're not going to be able to reroll their ward save because the Standard Bearer doesn't work, 'cause it's Deathless minions, not Deathless Entourage, I think. And their attack profile is pretty like whatever. It's just an attack. But the most important thing for this unit, in my personal opinion, is the Skeleton Legion ability. At the start of the combat phase, roll a dice for each slain model from this unit. On a 4+, you can return 1 slain model to this unit, which is pretty dope, because if you do like a little bit of chip damage, it's going to rally them back constantly at the start of the combat phase. So if you're just about to attack them, there's only 1 left, boom, they're doing it at the start. And it's the start of every combat phase. So they're a screen. They're also a survivable screen. They're a self-healing screen. It's pretty good. Okay, so I particularly like this. I think skeletons are very, very good, and they're arguably pointed quite well, which is nice. You get 2 units of those, and they're 2 screens, which we love. And then finally, you have this unit of Black Knights. Now, the Black Knights are 2 wounds apiece. It's a unit of 5, so it's going to be 10 wounds with a 5-up save. They've got that 6-up ward save from the faction. They've got an okay profile. They've got the Barrow Lance, so when they charge in, it's 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, no rend damage 1. The horses are 2 attacks each, but it's actually quite a lot of attacks, because it's going to be 5 models with 4 attacks each, equaling up to 20 attacks. So it's not going to kill like big monsters or anything like that. But considering you're basically going to get this unit for free, it's going to charge in and do something. And it's also got the bonus of always completing its charges if it's 6 inches, thanks to the musician. And it's got deathly charges. After this unit makes a charge move, you can pick 1 enemy unit within an inch of this unit. And if you do so, you roll 2 dice for each model in the unit, so 10 dice for this unit. And then every 5+ is a mortal wound. So potentially spiking 2 or 3 mortal wounds is also pretty good as well. So that's the entire kind of, like regiment of renown that you get. And I think honestly it's an interesting one. Really, really interesting. You get a couple of screens, you get a charging unit that's going to do some punching. It's only going to cost you 600 points, And sure, 600 points is still a lot, but I think you get a lot of value. You don't need to bring. You got a lot of value from Neferata, I think, in this. I think that's really where the value comes. You do have that ability. Ultimately, you score games from battle tactics. So, the Blood Queen's Will, this ability to auto-complete battle tactics is going to be super beneficial. I think that's going to be really good as well. Then you've also got that ability to turn off someone's ward saves, which they weren't expecting. So when you do want to charge in Neferata, probably more than anyone else, but the Black Knight's also counter-charging, turn off a ward, charge in. That's great as well. You could use her as a tank in the army. So your opponent is trying to wail on other units, and then she's just there healing with the hunger, constantly fighting. So honestly, I think this is really good. Of the different death armies that you would play it in, I feel like it works best in Nighthaunt. Maybe because I just know that Nighthaunt just aren't great at the moment, and it adds something additional to the army, which I think is really positive. But ultimately, it's cool, I guess, a fun little painting project, and I'm most interested in what you've got to think about it. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know. The chat have had some ideas. I think Greg, who's a really, really great player in the chat, saying screens of bodies are always nice, and they're pesky to kill. Pesky to kill is definitely a good description. Dad Bod said pretty great for an army, no screens, and I agree with that as well. So overall, I'm going to say, I think it's great. So let me know what you think. Thanks for listening.